Hello and welcome to What's Good in WoW Classic as of February 18th, 2024. I'm your host, Kippzord, and I wanted to try and make a series out of those little news rundown videos that I do that you guys like so much. So that way, even if you're a dad with 25 kids and 5 wives, you can still know about the interesting stuff going on and more importantly, what it means instead of just me reading from Wowhead. I'm also going to try and talk slower and use less editing so that way I can do these more frequently. Remember to subscribe if you haven't, and remember this is all for entertainment. If you disagree, take a long deep breath, it's going to be okay. The first story I'm going to talk about is the one from the thumbnail. It turns out that Battle Chicken trinket that they added works exactly the same as the old Battle Chicken. You can see in Warcraft logs it's giving the party a 5% attack speed buff when it squawks, and you can even take off the trinket, which despawns the chicken, but allows you to keep the squawk buff. From the logs, we can't tell if they're using the TBC method of forcing the squawks or not, but it kind of looks like they did. So a party of 5 people all doing the Battle Chicken squawk would equate to 25% attack speed. The only thing standing between us and getting that insane amount of attack speed is the drop rate on this trinket, which I believe is pretty low. Regardless though, next phase we'll have Gnomish engineering and we'll be able to craft the Gnomish Battle Chicken unless if they change it, so we'll still be getting chickens no matter what. And of course there is still that huge armor difference in boss value to take into account, which can cause roughly a 45.9% physical damage reduction on the last boss Mech Engineer. And so this affects some classes more than others, like the chicken attack speed could be really good for Rogue, Ret, and Shaman since they increase their non-physical damage as well, whereas the Warrior and Cat are pretty much all physical. We'll have to see how it all plays out, but this is obviously secretly overpowered, so try and start stacking these trinkets on your melee group instead of just handing them out to anyone as a meme item. Warcraft Log's new Archon website thingy is coming in pretty clutch when determining the difference in population versus performance of classes. This can help you get a good read on what's performing well, but is also really unpopular. You can see by population there's just a ton of melee DPS like rogues and warriors, and if we assume all the ranged hunters grow brains and become melee, it will easily be the most crowded spec in the game soon. If I had to recommend something, I'd go with Shadow Priest, doing great damage, but almost nobody's playing it. If you look at the healer population, it's easy to see why all the priests are healing, like every single priest is healing. I don't really think it's all that necessary, the other healers seem fine, especially Resto Druid. The tanks are pretty spread out population-wise, but I don't think Warlocks are actually doing 100 more DPS than the other tanks. They should be doing more because of the high armor, yeah, but I think this is mostly because Fire Warlocks just put on the tank rune for safety instead of using Chaos Bolt, and they get counted in these logs as well. But going back to damage, you can see a noticeably lower population in non-mage or Warlock casters despite performing pretty well. And speaking of casters doing really well, the number 1 DPS on Warcraft logs for the last boss is actually an Elemental Shaman right now. This is from a cadet run where he got 6 power infusions from 3 priests, which is pretty funny. I don't think this is representative of all Ele Shamans, I just thought I'd mention it because it's funny. But on a more serious note, we could see seal twisting coming back for Rets this phase. The number 4 overall DPS on Mech Engineer is this Chinese Ret Paladin that is not using Divine Storm. He actually has a Battle Chicken too, along with this rare drop mace from Uldamon that increases his attack speed. What he's basically doing is this build based around spam resetting Exorcism as much as possible with Art of War, and you can do that by seal twisting Martyrdom and Righteousness. When the Seal of Martyrdom damage crits, it's also proccing Art of War right now, giving you twice as many chances for Art of War procs. That means this guy is just whipping out Exorcisms left and right. I believe the runes are Crusader Strike, Exorcist, Seal of Martyr, Art of War, and Sheath of Light. And you could probably do this with the new automatic Crowd Pummeler mace, although it only lasts 30 seconds instead of a proc that could be up all the time. If this doesn't get nerfed, this could easily be the new meta. I mean, this is pretty insane, and this isn't even fully optimized. Imagine this exact thing, but with 20% more attack speed from 4 other chickens. And speaking of things that could get nerfed, the Melee Hunter actually went through the first patch of class balancing completely untouched, which is pretty unusual for Hunter players. Given how terrible Ranged Hunter is, it's listed as Marksman, but this just means any Ranged Hunter. I doubt the meta is going to shift up too bad. I'm still pretty sure it will get nerfed, but I think melee is going to be better than ranged. I think they like it like that. And Horde raids are still going to need kings from Aspect of the Lion, and Alliance raids will need somebody to put up the debuff from the epic fist weapon because their tank can't do it because paladins can't use fist weapons. There were some other nerfs though, like Shadow Word Death and Star Surge, and we know that the devs did this for PvP implications because they got buffs to their PvE abilities to compensate. And so people are saying, well, this is not a nerf. This is absolutely a nerf. This is the biggest nerf to leveling I've ever seen. You can't get Eclipse or Mind Spike until level 30, and you can't get Starfire until level 20, so Druids went from S+ tier levelers to literal trash cans. Priest can still use Penance to level instead of Shadow Word Pain, so it's not that bad. If I have time, I'm going to try and re-level these from 1 to see how bad it is and what you can really do about it, but until then, I don't know, just get boosted. And as for buffs coming in Tuesday this week, there's going to be huge enhancement buffs, which might take them from pretty bad to actually really good. Getting full offhand attack damage is huge. Along with that and the buff to Lava Lash, that's going to equate to a 225% weapon damage with Flame Tongue on your Lava Lash. So Lava Lash is going from trash to actually insane. All in all, my enhancement shaman friend estimates this is going to come to a 40 or 45% damage increase. We're also going to see some buffs to bears on Tuesday. A while back, they made Lacerate only 10 rage, so they were pretty okay. They were just really unpopular. It wasn't fun to play one due to the AoE threat being so bad, but that's getting fixed with the new swipe changes. Also, cat DPS performed pretty well and were a lot more fun, and so all ferals were pretty much just doing that. But cat is looking really horrible this phase so far. The extra 4 seconds on the rip is pretty much nothing. They're just getting destroyed by the high armor. So I don't know exactly how popular it'll be, but it might be the new meta to get Wind Fury from your bear as Alliance over a cat now. And last, I thought I'd throw this in here that the BFD Trinket is actually insanely good for almost every class. If it's not BIS, it's pre-BIS. So if you're leveling up a character that doesn't have it, try to jump in BFD not only for the XP, but also to grab that up. This works out great for all the characters you don't play very much, like all the ones that I have. The BFD buff works with Rested, so if you haven't logged in since phase 2 started, you have like a full level, and if you run the raid, you'll get like a level and a half. I've even seen people running this at level 40 just to try and get that Trinket quest item. So in summary, it's looking pretty rough out there for melee right now in the new Nomer meta, but there is a silver lining. With enough battle chickens, it's possible we can make a return. And if they don't nerf all this ret stuff, this could easily be top DPS by a mile. Still, the last 2 bosses have mechanics that require ranged, and with non-melee hunters being so bad, it looks like it's just time for the casters to shine in pugs. Just kind of nice to mix it up a little bit, I guess. Thanks for watching the whole video, and let me know if you enjoyed this and want more. Constantly finding lots of little stuff like this that I don't really want to make into an entire video, but I still think you guys would think is pretty cool. I'm just going to consolidate them into quick little update videos like this and not spend too much time editing. That way I can get you guys more information. There's no real focus on any one thing, just lots of little stuff that sticks out to me. Just like my range traps and vanilla data mine video, I like looking back at that stuff and seeing if I was right, and almost everything so far has been right on the money. Another example of that is my future runes video, where you can see some runes that are in the game files that we'll probably see in phase 3 or 4 and nobody's really talking about. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out right now.